Cool. Ramon, welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Ramon.
Jeff, everybody.
How you feeling?
Good evening.
Good. Justin Thomas James and guy whose name I can never remember.
Gary Francis
yes.
Furlong.
Gary, that's right.
You got it.
There's
Good.
Gary Furlong.
Sorry.
we have three narrators that are triple named threats. Right?
Oh.
Gary Francis Furlong, Justin Thomas James, and Lori Catherine Winkle. You guys just assault us.
Do you not have a middle name,
nomenclature.
Jeff?
What's that?
Do you not have a middle name, Jeff?
know
middle
it.
name.
I think you're the odd one out then. I mean, I have a middle name.
No, I do, but it's just not public.
Oh, okay. So you have three
attention
names.
whores.
Jeff's
with
middle
your
name is
extra
Annie.
names.
His middle name is Badass.
Yeah, that's right.
Jeff Badass Hayes.
It is a B.
Yeah.
It is a B. Oh, yeah.
Man, Jeff, your hair's getting long.
It is.
For the rest of the show, please guess Jeff's middle name. Begins with a B.
Or come up with the best alternatives.
Who guesses it, you get a free audiobook.
Oh my God, it's like Rumpelstiltskin. Except for instead of a baby, it's a
Rumpelstiltskin.
Or gold. Yeah. Or gold. Rumpelstiltskin took the baby, didn't he?
Why did he take the baby?
Because he wanted a baby.
He kicked it.
He wanted to pass on his magic to someone as an heir, I think.
Oh,
yeah.
I see. And then the lady wanted her baby.
So he gave her the power of spinning gold instead. Yeah.
I will call it out if someone guesses my name, but
I'm pretty sure Jeff has a
Gary.
Rumpelstiltskin voice in his back pocket just hanging out there.
Probably. I'd have to read the story again though to figure out which voice it is. It's been so long.
I suppose you could go.
Maybe we should do that on a.
There's just the goblin voice.
Someone got it. Joe Max. Okay.
Ooh.
So
Benji.
Joe Max getting free audiobooks.
Hello, Benji.
So Joe Max, you are we owe you a goddamn audiobook. So
I think you have a couple to spare.
We'll find you. We'll find you, and
we'll find you.
All right. So
you have a particular set of skills you're going to use to find him and give him an audiobook.
Exactly. We'll deliver it to his door.
I didn't give you my address though.
So what do you have for us today, Ramon?
Me? I have just one review for actually came out last week. It was for Dungeon Crawler Carl. I think I can pull up the screenshot of it. See.
Oh yeah!
Yes, please do. Oh, perfect. What
see
great
if it
timing.
Works. Application window.
We just did I don't know if you saw, Ramon, 2 weeks ago, we did a requests only for Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Yeah, there. Can you guys see that?
No?
Okay, there you go. How about that? There you go. See? There. Dungeon Crawler Carl. There it is.
Tell us all about it, please.
That's a weird way to show it up, but still. Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Denneman. It's a great story. Genuinely funny. Almost got an 8.0 out of 10 for me, which is fairly rare. Got a 7.9 instead, just because it is a dungeon crawl. We've seen those before. But Matt Denneman's story always bring like some great quirky weirdness and horror. I think a lot of like the weird things that he comes up with comes from his love of the horror genre, especially the Battlefield Kaiju Sergeant, which is total horror-ish adventure stuff, but he pulls in a lot of those elements of like these weird quirky characters and sometimes some absurd violence in his stories. And I think Dungeon Crawler Carl does that as well, but to a much less gross degree than Kaiju Battlefield Sergeant. So still very interesting, very fun, but also has these darker elements. But I think the best description I could come up for the storyline was dungeon crawl combined with Hunger Games. In that they're going through these dungeons, the main character, all the 1% of humanity that survived the RPG apocalypse. But there's also like a viewer element where like people are watching them on this weird version of YouTube or whatever. And so they have viewers that are watching them. But it's done better than the Hunger Games to me because they actually get to interact with like newscasters or different television shows that are being sent out the universe, and they get to actually see the audience talking to, which is a bunch of diverse group of aliens. And so those were actually really nice breaks in that broke up the storyline and the constant action or the survival-ish elements of it. So it's a nice first entry into a series. He doesn't get too RPG-ish in this one just because it's not those elements aren't unlocked until like a certain level. Like a character level they get to, and they don't hit that until like the very end of this book. But still, there's some good game elements, a good setting up of mechanics, and there's a lot of good stuff to look forward to in future elements of the book. But really fun, entertaining story.
Excellent.
Dungeon
Yes.
Crawler Carl.
Nice.
So we've been in talks with Matt Dinneman.
Yes.
We are talking about producing this book for him,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to it. If we do actually get this contracted and in the bag, I don't know if you saw the episode I did, or we did reading it live,
Patrick
but I'm using
Warburton.
Yes, I'm using my Patrick Warburton impression to narrate with. So
Who's doing the cat?
Annie?
Annie? Okay.
Yeah.
Does she have a good cat voice?
Yes.
Or should just go regular princess?
Fantastic.
Oh man,
Yeah.
her
Cat voice.
like we made a demo to send to Matt, and the very beginning when she like jumps into the tree, and then she can't get out and she just starts wailing. I had Annie do that whole part, so she's just like screaming as a cat this entire like for fucking 3 minutes of audio behind the
Meow, meow,
narration.
meow,
So
mix,
great.
meow, meow, meow. Mix. Did she like break into that song at some point?
No, she didn't. I'm sure it was tempting, but it would have been unprofessional for her to do so. So she did not do that.
No, it's a fun character once you actually get to her actually speaking. The
Right.
way Matt wrote it was very much like, oh yeah, that's exactly how a cat would sound, entitled, princess-like syndrome. I'm like, yeah, that's a good pull. Yeah.
Completely overblown ego.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like, you serve me, making him her immediate like guard and servant, instead of like, oh, you're my equal. Nope, you are below me, as I'm a cat and here are cats and they're humans meant to serve. So yeah, real authentic character.
Hopefully, guys, we'll be working on this one soon. Well, that was oddly topical of you, Ramon. Thank you so much for bringing that review. Is there anything else you want to say?
No, I've actually got to talk to you guys in a while. So what have you guys been up to that I haven't known about in quarantine, and anything interesting?
Yeah,
Ooh.
plenty of work. We're all
Taking
working on
this-
sleep debt.
You guys are
Right,
taking this
like,
mandatory
yeah.
quarantine time to actually catch up on work and be productive members of society.
Yeah. My sleep
Trying.
card is almost to its limit, so I'll have to start paying that off here
Catch up
pretty
at some
soon.
point.
But end of October is the launch, so at that point I'll be able to sleep. And
That's
I
good.
actually just planned a Colorado trip.
Oh, so are you talking about the launch of that? Have you talked about that project already? In
The platform.
yeah, the platform. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, this is now public knowledge. The
The
platform.
platform. Yeah. The platform.
We are launching a platform.
Yes.
Yeah, you're launching a platform for your own audiobook sales, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
Okay,
trying to
maybe
be
we need to do
essentially a
that in
version of Audible,
Yeah.
starting on a smaller scale, but
Right. Well,
yeah.
hey, we don't even want to get
You don't
close
wanna
to
use that
that
name?
scale. That's
You're going to be an
not-
audiobook
thing.
audiobook seller.
It's a boutique.
Okay, a boutique
Yes.
audiobook
You make
seller.
bespoke audiobooks.
Will you be selling other products besides Sound Booth Theater?
Artisanal.
Not at
Artisanal
the moment,
audiobooks.
but
Okay.
one thing that I'm noticing is that people are starting to get more and more irritated with ACX.
Yeah.
So maybe serving the indie community.
Really?
And you're just going to offer better terms?
Yeah,
And controlling that?
possibly. Like we have to see how it goes, and then we have to like come up with a system for making sure that we separate out. Okay, these are Sound Booth Theater productions. We're Sound Booth Theater distributing these things, right? Like we're not. We didn't produce these, but we still don't want to sell anything that we don't approve of, right? Quality wise or anything like that. So
Genre as well, I think.
yeah,
For the
and we're gonna have to.
platform.
Yeah, no, I think the smart player just to build up your user base beforehand so that you have something to offer other narrators and other producers of audio products before so you have something to show. Yeah, this is successful, and we provide a tangible benefit to joining this team or joining this platform or producing our product here. So the first step would, of course, being doing your own products and showing, oh yeah, these are our sales figures. This is an actual good product that has numbers saying we're revenue positive and we can help you do the same. So you got to have the proof first. So
yeah, for sure. That's definitely what we need to do before we start publishing other people. But maybe
it's always tempting. And it's always tempting to say, oh, that's a good idea. We can add that in now since we're starting this off. But it's like, no, you got to have a firm base first before you can start putting things on top of it.
Yeah.
Jeff, you're gonna have to do some takes of "This is Sound Booth."
Oh boy.
Yeah.
This has been a sound booth theater production.
I think what we should do
Sound
is
Booth
just
hopes
go the
you've
opposite
enjoyed this
direction.
program.
Just play circus music.
Yeah. Throughout the entire audiobook.
There should be like
Just the
slow,
entire-
creepy music at the end. Like,
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
do 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 do.
Yeah, it's the sound booth staple.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. We gotta make use
But
of that.
other than that, we have not made new people, which is something that you did.
That's always good. Oh yeah, you mean the kid? My
You
kid.
made a new person.
My kid's like a year and a half old.
Yeah, well, if you did that.
He's a year and a half old person. I don't know. I
It
think
almost sounded like we were
warranty
making new
expired
people,
at the year
but we
mark.
haven't yet.
Yeah, he had a
We
1
haven't
year
made
warranty.
people yet, but
It was like,
after
we haven't made
audiobooks,
people. I'm like, I'm glad for you, Jeff, that you haven't made people yet.
How is the new person?
Like, I think you have the space for it.
Oh yeah, I have the space, but not the mentality or wisdom.
I feel like I should go
We
visit
should-
your state and go just like rent one of your rooms or something.
Yeah,
And go visit or something. And whenever air travel
yeah.
opens up
Well,
again.
you don't have to rent it. What are you talking about? Just come and stay. What are you saying?
Yes.
Give me
Well,
money.
it's never nice to assume. So it's always nice to offer, even though I
Yes.
thought you would, but still.
It's insulting.
But yeah, kid's fine. A year and a half year old. He's walking around, talking, getting into stuff.
Rolling dice
He's,
yet?
he's signing more than talking, but yeah.
Is he rolling dice yet?
He could roll dice, but he might swallow one afterwards.
Ooh, yeah,
ooh,
Strategic.
Yeah. He's like, that's not a 1. You didn't see that.
yeah.
I'll poop out
That's great.
a natural 20.
Gotta get those ice dice.
right.
Does he shame the dice?
I
by
know that would
eating
train
them
him to
as
eat
opposed
dice.
to jar?
I think that's the opposite effect that we want. But yeah.
What was that, Gary?
I was just making a dice shame reference.
Ah,
Dice
yeah.
shame references are a thing now. That makes
They
me
are.
feel good.
Yeah, oh,
We just had,
congratulations on your show
thank
and
you.
showing up on the D&D page. I was like super proud. Like, hey, I know this guy. And he's doing
Yeah.
a good thing and he's getting recognition
Yeah.
for it.
I
Super
listened to the
exciting.
whole thing. Yeah, it's fucking great.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Yeah. Dice shame. We just released episode 52 yesterday, so we've got a full year. One
It's
episode
surprising how
every week.
fast that goes if you're just putting out regular production of stuff.
It's incredible. Yeah, I can imagine. What episode of LitRPG podcast are you at now?
I'm should be recording later tonight. I think it's episode 247. I think something right there. So
Ramon's
and
been in
and
this
that's
game
this
for a long
podcast. I have
time.
another probably 300 episodes of the other podcast as well. So I did the math. I'm like, I think I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years now. I'm like,
wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just every week. Yeah.
Dude,
Time-
I think I remember when
device.
I first came onto the scene, you were on like episode 8 or something.
247. See, there we go. That's correct.
Wow.
247. Okay.
Wow.
So wait, how when did you do it? When did you start accelerating how many you did?
I was doing up to 2 podcasts at once. Where I was doing the Geek Bites podcast with my friend Edgar Acosta, where we were just talking about geeky stuff on a weekly basis, and we had a smaller audience. We did that for a couple of years, and then I started getting to LitRPG and talking about it on the show as something I was geeky about. And I noticed that those rating numbers were a lot higher, like 2 or 3 times our normal audience. So there was definitely an audience of for hearing just that content, and eventually I spun that off into its own show, the LitRPG podcast, and that took off quite a bit more popular than the other show. And eventually, as our jobs grew different, we stopped the show, and I just focused just on the LitRPG podcast, and eventually added the LitRPG audio podcast as its own separate audience of just audiobook listeners. But yeah, they just once I started it on, once I noticed that there was an audience for it, why not do an extra show? It's just more recording, a little extra effort, and you can have more content every week.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's doing every single week. I haven't missed a single week in all these years.
Wow.
That's very
That's
impressive.
awesome.
That,
And
that-
what a boon to the community, honestly.
Mm.
Just have that someone who's read so much and is able to compare in the genre, being able to create a good launching point, because there's so much lit RPG out there that now, and a
There
lot of it's
is,
so
and
good.
there's too much for any one person to read. So, which is why I was glad to
Yeah.
have a little bit of help from some other contributors. But even then, they've kind of fallen off a little bit. Like, oh, I don't have time to make reviews for you anymore. I was like, oh, that's too bad. Sorry, sorry. And then,
You're like the LitRPG librarian now.
Sort of, yeah. It's just I wish I could read even more. I just don't have the time with actually writing as an author now and having a kid and a family, and it's like just time just slips away. Like whole months seem to just go by in a flash now.
Gee, ain't it funny? Well, thank you very much, Ramon, for joining us. We're going to be getting into the next segment, but this has been our Ramon. Thank you, our.
I think that's our new thing is just like
Changing the names. Just
Shoving
getting it out. All right, see ya. All right, who's next? What do we got next? Okay, bye, Ray. Bye, Ramon.